Amazon sellers, I'm so blessed to have such an incredible team. This is Alexa Allers. I often just call her Allers because it sets off my Alexa device. And we're going to be talking about a huge weapon, a nuclear weapon available to Amazon sellers if you get sued by a big brand. So Allers, why don't you start the conversation off?
Sure, so we're going to be talking about Rule 65, and pretty much that is a way for sellers who are, wrongfully enjoined by a temporary restraining order or some other preliminary injunction to, seek damages when they're, the people who are filed the claim against you, have filed the lawsuit against you, have voluntarily dismissed that case.
Now, Allers is a hardcore litigation paralegal. She not only graduated college with a bachelor's degree, then she went on for an extra degree in paralegal training at one of our local colleges. And when she used the word enjoined, I want to make sure you understand what that means. Enjoined means the court has ordered you or somebody else to do something or to stop doing something. When it comes to Amazon sellers who are sued by big brands, it's almost always a temporary restraining order that tells Amazon to freeze your account, freeze your money, freeze your inventory. And those orders are often served on eBay, on Etsy, on World Docs, World Currency, any place you might have money or sales.
So, for example, I've even had a client who had their own website and received a temporary restraining order on PayPal, so they couldn't get any money in on sales from their own website.
Now, we have a lot of different videos and articles about lawsuits in particular when your accounts get frozen, and even if you need to sue a big brand. But this video is all about what's called Rule 65, and this is when the big brand and their lawyers convinced a court, convinced a judge to freeze your account when the judge should never have frozen your account.
And this can lead to, lost sales down the road, lost revenue. You can even seek, your attorney's fees through this Rule 65, which can be huge if you're literally dead in the water because of these temporary restraining orders.
Now, some of the scenarios that present themselves is that the brand and their lawyers went to the judge and said that you're selling counterfeit products when you're not, and then so the judge froze you without ever hearing from you. Or they persuaded the judge that your entire account was based upon the products at issue, and in many cases, that's simply not true. That maybe only 5% of your sales have anything to do with the litigation, but the court was convinced to shut all of your businesses down. So what Rule 65 allows us to do is to, one, go after the brands and their lawyers by arguing to the judge your account should never have been frozen. Now, what's really cool is that these big brands and these big lawyers will often cut you loose voluntarily. Alexa, describe what happens when a big brand of their lawyers freezes Amazon sellers' accounts and then realizes they made a mistake and then they cut you loose.
So by cutting you loose, we're describing this as setting a fly trap and letting the fly fly in, because when they voluntarily dismiss you, meaning they cut you loose, they say you're no longer a part of this lawsuit, that's when the trap is set and we can go after these Rule 65 damages.
Now, this is really great because often these law firms will cast a really, really broad net, and when either we persuade them to cut you loose or on their own they realize that you really shouldn't be involved in the case, that you weren't selling counterfeit products, they voluntarily release you from the order. You now can go after the brands and after the lawyers for your damages. All those lost sales, the lost profits, you can try and get that money back. And what's even better is that you can ask for your attorney's fees, because you never should have had your accounts frozen, you never should have sustained those losses. So even if the lawyers and the brands cut you loose on their own, you can go after them. If you fight to get released, you can go after them. So Amazon sellers, Rule 65 is a huge weapon at your disposal. Alexa, thank you very much for helping me explain this really great body of law that we are now using in behalf of Amazon sellers all over the world. And I hope that you keep making videos with me, because Amazon sellers get tired of hearing solely from me and hearing my voice. So thank you very much for joining me in explaining Rule 65 and its power to Amazon sellers.
Of course, they gotta hear that there's a good Alexa out there that doesn't belong to Amazon. So we hope you've enjoyed this video, and we hope that you leave us a thumbs up if you did.